I never thought the blanket I'd spent 3 winters knitting, each stitch a whispered prayer for my grandbaby's warmth, would end up draped over my knees like a shroud, while the snow outside my Seattle window turned my world into a frozen tomb. It was Christmas Eve, and the phone hadn't rung once. Not from my son, Ethan, the golden boy who'd traded rainy Tacoma for Silicon Valley shine. Not from his wife, Lila, with her sharp bob and sharper silences. And sure as hell not from those 2 little miracles, Mia and Theo, who used to squeal Nana like it was the sweetest word in the world. I'd baked their favorite gingerbread stars that morning, the kitchen still smelling of cloves and regret, but the plates sat untouched on the Formica counter. As the clock ticked past midnight, I wrapped that blanket tighter, feeling the ache in my chest bloom like a bruise. But that wasn't the worst of it. No, the real gut punch came when I finally mustered the courage to scroll through Ethan's latest Instagram feed. His arms slung around Lila at some tech gala, Mia and Theo beaming in starched outfits, the caption reading, "Family first, always." Family first. The lie of it burned hotter than the single candle flickering on my mantle. And that's when I knew. This isolation wasn't an accident. It was a choice. One my own blood had made, stitch by painful stitch, long before the snow started falling. Oh honey, if you're listening to this and your heart's already cracking, pull up a chair. I'm Evelyn, Evie to the few folks who still remember my laugh before it turned to dust. 68 years young, or so I tell myself on days when the mirror doesn't lie too hard. Widowed these past 12 years since Hank's heart gave out on a fishing trip. Left me with this creaky craftsman in Capitol Hill, the kind of house that whispers memories if you listen close enough. The walls are papered in faded florals, and the backyard's a jungle of ferns that nod like old friends in the Pacific Northwest drizzle. I was the mom who packed Ethan's lunches with notes folded into paper cranes, the grandma who drove 3 hours to Tacoma every weekend just to rock Mia and Theo to sleep with stories of Hank's wild youth. Nana's got the magic, I'd say, and they'd giggle, their tiny hands tangled in my silver-streaked hair. Life wasn't perfect, mind you, but it had that cozy rhythm, like the hum of the old Singer sewing machine in the corner of my living room. I'd sit there for hours, needles clicking, turning skeins of soft wool into heirlooms. That blanket for Mia. Lavender yarn dotted with yellow ducks. Her favorite from when she was 2 and we'd chase them at Green Lake. Theo's was navy, with sailboats for the boy who dreamed of captaining his own ship someday. I'd mail them off with cards scribbled in my looping cursive. Wrapped with all my love, Nana. Ethan would text back a thumbs-up emoji. Lila a quick, "Thanks, Mom." Polite, but it was something. We were family after all. Rooted deep in that Seattle soil, where the Space Needle pierces the clouds like a promise, and the ferries slice through Puget Sound carrying dreams and disappointments alike. But even then, there were hints, you know. Subtle as the first raindrop before a downpour. Ethan had always been ambitious. My boy with the wire-rimmed glasses and that relentless drive. Hank used to call him the Rocket, watching him tinker with computers in the garage while the rest of us grilled salmon on the back patio. After college, Ethan landed in the tech world, first in Bellevue, then the big leap to San Francisco. "Mom, it's the future," he'd say over crackly phone lines. His voice buzzing with that valley lingo. Disruptors, pivots, unicorns. I'd nod along, proud as punch, even if half the words flew over my head like gulls over the bay. Lila came into the picture right after, a marketing whiz with a LinkedIn profile longer than my grocery list. Sharp, stylish, the kind of woman who could charm a room full of venture capitalists without breaking a sweat. They married in a vineyard up in Woodinville. Fairy lights strung like stars, and I wore my one good dress, the navy one with the pearl buttons Hank loved. Mia arrived a year later, then Theo 2 years on. Bliss pure and simple. Or so I thought. Looking back, the tensions were there, woven in like loose threads. Ethan started missing calls, blaming crunch time at the startup. Lila's texts grew shorter, laced with that passive edge. "Busy week, Evie, rain check?" And the grandkids. God, those visits to Tacoma were my lifeline. We'd pile into my old Subaru, windows fogged from their sticky breaths, and I'd crank up the oldies. Patsy Cline crooning about crazy love while we belted out the choruses. But even those trips had their shadows. Once, after a long day at the zoo, Lila pulled me aside in the kitchen, her manicure tapping the granite counter. "Evie, Ethan's got a big pitch tomorrow. Maybe tone down the stories about his awkward phase. He's building his brand now." I laughed it off, chalked it up to new mom nerves, but it stuck in my craw like a fishbone. Brand. My boy was Ethan, the kid who'd once cried when he thought he'd lost his first Lego set. Not some avatar in a boardroom. Still I pushed on. That's what us resilient types do, right? Pour love into the cracks and hope it holds. I'd plan these little rituals. Birthday calls at exactly 8 a.m. Care packages with homemade jam from the blackberries in my yard. For Ethan's 35th, I drove down with a quilt I'd pieced from Hank's old flannel shirts, reds and blues that smelled faintly of pipe tobacco. He hugged me quick at the door, then rushed off to a meeting, promising dinner soon. Dinner never came, but the quilt did its job, draped over his couch like a flag of forgiveness. And the grandkids. Oh, they were the light. Mia with her wild curls and endless questions. Nana, why do clouds look like cotton candy? And Theo, quiet and watchful, building forts from couch cushions while I spun yarns about pirates on the sound. I'd knit while they played, the needles a steady heartbeat against the chaos of their little world. But the hints kept coming, building like thunderheads over the Olympics. That summer, before everything shattered, Ethan scored the promotion, the one that bumped him to director at his firm. We celebrated over FaceTime, me in my apron dusted with flour from celebratory scones. Him in a crisp button-down, Lila beaming beside him with a glass of Pinot. "Mom, you should have seen the office," he gushed. "Views for days, right across from the Golden Gate." I smiled, hiding the pang views I couldn't afford to chase. "Proud of you, Rocket," I said, and he grinned that boyish grin that melted me every time. But then Lila leaned in, her voice all honey. "Evie, we're thinking family trip to Hawaii next year. You in?" My heart leaped, me in a muumuu teaching the kids to hula on the beach. "Wouldn't miss it," I replied, already mentally packing. Little did I know that family trip was the first thread to unravel. Weeks later a card arrived, not from Ethan, but from Lila's assistant, typed and impersonal. Regretfully, due to scheduling conflicts. No Hawaii. No explanation. Just a gift card to Starbucks tucked inside, like that could buy back the dream. I stared at it over my morning coffee in the breakfast nook, the fog rolling in off Lake Union, and felt the first real chill. Not the damp Seattle kind, but something deeper, bone hollow. Was this the storm brewing? Or just another squall I'd weather with a pot of tea and a stubborn heart? The autumn leaves turned gold and red along the Burke-Gilman Trail, and I kept knitting, kept calling, kept believing in the warmth we'd built. Ethan texted sporadically. Memes about coding fails that made me chuckle, photos of the kids in Halloween costumes that twisted the knife a little sweeter. "Miss you, Mom," one said, time-stamped from a rooftop bar in the Mission. I replied with a heart emoji, but inside doubts whispered, "Does he? Really?" I'd walk the neighborhood then, past the tidy bungalows with their pumpkin displays, past the diner on Broadway where Hank and I used to split cherry pie after date nights. The waitress, Maria, would wave from the window, "Evie, save me a pew at church." And I'd wave back, pretending my smile reached my eyes. Thanksgiving loomed, and I threw myself into prep. Turkey brining in the fridge, cranberry relish bubbling on the stove. Ethan promised they'd drive up 4 hours from SFO, no biggie. "Can't wait for your stuffing, Mom. The kids are hyped." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? That's what mothers do. But as the days ticked down, the excuses piled up like unraked leaves. First, a minor bug at work. Then Mia's tummy ache. Finally, the night before, "Lila's folks are in town." Rain check. Rain check. That phrase again, cold as a slap. I sat at the table that night, the bird carved lonesome, and ate slices off a fork, tears salting the gravy. But resilience, darling, it's a quiet fire. I boxed up leftovers, drove them to the shelter downtown, watched grateful faces light up under the fluorescent hum. God bless you, ma'am, an old vet murmured, and I nodded, throat tight. Blessings. If only they came in blankets thick enough to ward off the gathering frost. By December, the city glittered with lights. Pike Place strung like jewels, the tree at Westlake Center a towering sentinel against the gray. I mailed the finished blankets, wrapped in tissue and ribbon, with notes begging for photos. Wear them cozy, my loves, I wrote, sealing each with a kiss. Ethan called once, voice harried. Got 'em, Mom. Thanks, they're unique. Unique. Not beautiful, not thoughtful. Unique. I bit my tongue, asked about his day instead. He rambled about algorithms and acquisitions, words I nodded to like a foreign tongue. Sounds exciting, I said, and he laughed, sharp, distracted. It is. Hey, gotta run, meeting. Blick. The line went dead, and so did a piece of me. That Christmas Eve, as I said, the snow came uninvited, a rare white blanket over evergreens, turning Seattle into a postcard lie. I lit the tree alone, ornaments from Hank's childhood swaying like ghosts. The phone stayed silent, the Instagram post a final dagger. Family first. I clutched that lavender blanket, Mia's ducks mocking me, and whispered to the empty room. What did I do wrong? The question hung there, heavy as the silence, promising answers I wasn't ready for. But oh, listener, the storm was just breaking. The real cold. It was coming from inside the family I'd given everything to warm. You ever notice how the smallest doubts start like hairline fractures? Barely there, but they spiderweb if you don't shore 'em up? That's how it crept in with Ethan, slow and sly, after that first cancelled holiday. I'd wake at dawn in my alcove bed, the sheets cool where Hank used to sprawl, and stare at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, replaying conversations in my head. Was it me? Pushing too hard with the calls, the packages? Or him? Drifting further into that shiny world where moms like me were footnotes. Spring thawed the snow, but not the chill in my chest. I threw myself into the garden. Tulips poking up defiant along the fence, rhodies blooming purple as bruises. Neighbors waved from their porches, steam rising from mugs of diner coffee. Evie, you coming to bingo Friday? Old Mrs. Hargrove would holler, her voice carrying over the fence like a lifeline. I'd smile, wave my trowel. Wouldn't miss it, Gladys. Bingo was my anchor. The VFW hall on 15th, with its scuffed linoleum and the scent of stale popcorn and Camel Straits. There amid the B12 calls I'd spill to the ladies. Tales of grandkid antics, Ethan's latest triumphs. They oohed and awed, but their eyes held that knowing glint, the one that says, kids, huh? Wings and all. But privately the doubts gnawed. Ethan's birthday rolled around in April, and I planned modest. A loaf of his favorite banana bread, shipped overnight with a card quoting our old inside joke from his Little League days. Swing for the fences, Rocket. The package returned 2 weeks later. Undeliverable, moved, no forwarding. Moved. Without a word. Panic fluttered in my gut like a trapped moth. I dialed Lila first, voicemail, that chirpy recording. Leave a message after the beep. Beep. Lila, honey, it's Evie. Got the package back, everything okay? Call me. Nothing. Then Ethan straight to voicemail too. Son, Nana's worried. What's going on? Days stretched to a week. Each unanswered ring a fresh cut. Finally, a text from an unknown number. Hey Mom, new digs in Palo Alto. Startup perks. Sorry for the radio silence. Crazy week. Bread sounds delish. Resend. Relief flooded me, warm as summer sun on the deck. I baked anew, double-wrapped it this time, even tossed in a photo of us at his high school graduation. Me teary-eyed in the bleachers, him in cap and gown, gap-toothed grin. "Love you always," I scrawled. His reply pinged while I licked batter from the spoon. "'Tis Mom. Busy AF. Talk soon. F. Busy. Words that piled like unanswered prayers. That soon stretched into summer, laced with selfishness I couldn't name yet. Ethan started sharing snippets, voice notes during his commute, the hum of Tesla traffic in the background. Mom nailed the funding round. We're talking millions. Pride swelled, but so did the ache. That's my boy. When do I get the full story over pie? Laughter, then hesitation. Soon. Lila's swamped with the rebrand. Like our family needed one. But I swallowed it, asked about the kids instead. Mia's in ballet now, tiny tutu terror. Theo's obsessed with drones. I pictured it. Mia twirling in our old living room. Theo buzzing toys over the sound. "Send pics," I begged. He did. One blurry shot of them at a park, faces half-turned. No smiles for Nana. The subplots simmered then, motivations peeking like roots under soil. Lila, I suspected, was the architect, her world one of metrics and milestones, where Evie visits didn't fit the spreadsheet. Once, during a rare call, I overheard her in the background. "Ethan, tell her we'll video chat Sunday. But keep it short, the nanny's off." Blick. The line went muffled, then Ethan. "Gotta go, Mom. Love ya. Love ya." Casual as a weather report. I hung up in my kitchen, the blackberries ripening on the vine outside, and felt the first real betrayal bloom. Not a shout, but a whisper. Why was I the one always bending? Quiet suspense built in those months. A low hum under the everyday. I'd volunteer at the library downtown, shelving romances with spines cracked like old hearts, chatting with patrons about their kin. My daughter's in New York, calls once a month. One widow confessed over tea in the break room. Feels like losing a limb. I nodded, shared my blanket tales, but inside anger flickered, hot, unbidden. Ethan, my Ethan, who'd nursed scraped knees and aced spelling bees on my flashcards. What made him forget the woman who'd sacrificed her nursing shifts to chauffeur him to robotics club? A small twist came in July, unexpected as a sunbreak. Package arrived, not from them but for me. Inside, a sleek tablet, wrapped in tissue from some Palo Alto boutique. Note from Lila. Thought this'd make FaceTime easier, Evie. Let's schedule the kids. Joy sparked. I powered it up that night, propped it on the coffee table amid Hank's dusty fly rods. We connected at last. Mia's face filled the screen pixel bright. "Nana! Look, I lost a tooth." Theo waved a drone model, buzzing it close till Ethan swatted it away. "Easy, bud." Laughter flowed, easy at first. Me showing off my latest knit, a scarf in Seahawks colors for game day. "Go Hawks," they chorused. But then Lila's voice cut in off-screen. 5 minutes, guys, bedtime routine." The call ended abrupt, screen black. I sat there, tablet warm in my lap, the silence louder than ever. Schedule. Routine. Like love was an appointment. Doubts deepened after that. I started journaling, spiral notebook from the dollar store, pages filling with ramblings. Why does he sound guilty? Is it her, or the job? Emotional lows hit hard. Nights I'd cry into Hank's pillow, the scent long faded but memory sharp. Highs were fleeting, a bingo win, $50. A walk where seals barked from the Alki shore. Resilience kicked in. I joined a knitting circle at the community center, ladies like me with stories stitched in wool. Men leave, kids stray, but these mittens, they stay, joked Betty, her needles flying. We laughed, but it rang hollow. By fall, the selfishness sharpened. Ethan's company picnic invite arrived, emailed formal. Family event, Seattle stopover. Bring your A game. A game. For a picnic. But hope surged. I booked the ferry crossing, ironed my best blouse. Can't wait, I texted. His reply, cool. See ya. See ya. Like a buddy, not a son. I baked lemon bars, his favorite. Visions dancing of us tossing a frisbee by the lake. Grandkids giggling in the grass. But the cracks. They were widening and the foundation trembled. Listener, if these quiet hurts are echoing your own, drop a like. It heals us both. Subscribe and ring that bell. More unravelings await, straight from the heart. And then came the picnic. The day the fractures became fault lines, shaking loose secrets I'd never dreamed hid in my boy's eyes. It was a perfect August afternoon. Sun glinting off Lake Washington like shattered glass, the air thick with grilled burgers and ambition. I'd arrived early, lemon bars sweating in their tin, heart pounding like a girl on prom night. The venue was some swanky park pavilion, rented out for Ethan's firm, banners flapping "Innovate or Die" in bold sans serif. Tech bros in polos milled about, wives in athleisure clutching kombuchas, kids chasing drones across the lawn. I spotted them quick. Ethan in khakis, laughing too loud at a cluster of suits, Lila in sundress armor, Mia and Theo orbiting like satellites. Nana! Mia squealed, barreling into me. Theo trailing with a shy grin. We hugged fierce, their warmth melting the months of distance. Missed you, I murmured, burying my face in Mia's curls, smelling of sunscreen and innocence. Ethan waved from afar, mouthing "Wussy," before diving back into schmooze. Lila air-kissed my cheek. Evie, glad you made it. Bars look homemade. Homemade, said like a diagnosis. I bit back the retort, handed them over with a smile. For the crew, nothing fancy. The afternoon unfolded cinematic, suspense coiling tight. We picnicked on a checkered blanket, me unpacking PB&JS for the kids, Ethan checking his phone every bite. Big fish today, Mom, he whispered, nodding at a silver-haired exec nearby. VP from HQ. Pride warred with hurt. My rocket launching without me. Mia chattered about school. Theo showed off a rock collection, and for an hour it felt whole. Then the team-building games kicked off. Some Silicon Valley nonsense with obstacle courses and trust falls. Come on, family relay. The MC boomed, mic crackling. That's when it cracked wide. They paired us. Ethan with a colleague, Lila with her yoga mom friend, me with the grandkids for the kid zone. But Mia tugged my sleeve. Nana, run with Daddy. Innocent plea, but it pulled me into the adult heat. We lined up, whistle shrill. I gave it my all, pumping legs stiff from garden weeding, passing the baton, a foam tech gadget prop, to Ethan with a whoop. Go, son. He grinned, bolted, then tripped on a divot, baton flying. Laughter rippled, good-natured at first. But as he scrambled up, red-faced, I clapped louder. That's my boy. Fall down 7, get up 8. Remember that scout motto. The crowd chuckled, polite, but Ethan's eyes flashed. Not amusement. Shame. He grabbed the baton, finished the relay, but the damage lingered. Whispers followed. Who's the lady? Mom. Lila's smile tightened as we reconvened. Her hand on Ethan's arm like a vice. Fun times, she said, voice syrup over shards. Dinner followed, catered tacos, craft beers flowing. I sat with the kids, but Ethan pulled me aside by the dessert table, breath hot with IPA. Mom, what was that? The motto. In front of the team. Confusion hit first. His tone sharp as a switchblade. What? It was just encouragement, honey. Like always. Always isn't cutting it here, he hissed, glancing at the execs. This is professional. You embarrassed me, making me look like some dorky kid. Embarrassed. The word landed like a slap, blooming red on my cheeks. Ethan James, I raised you better than to. But Lila appeared smooth as oil. Hey, let's not. Evie, kids need you. She steered me away, the grandkids' faces puzzled. Mia. Nana sad. I forced a laugh, scooped them up for face painting. Warrior stripes, butterfly wings. But inside turmoil raged. Highs crashed to lows. 1 minute Theo's giggle as paint tickled. Next, overhearing Lila to a friend. In-laws, am I right? Boundaries. Secrets revealed in drips that night. Driving home on I-5, rain sheeting the windshield, my phone buzzed. A group text from Ethan. Picnic was great. Mom checks for coming. Let's chat soon. But the subtext screamed. Later, alone in the tub, bubbles popping like lies, I scrolled old messages. There, buried in a thread from spring, Lila to Ethan. Your mom's visits? They're killing your vibe. We need space. Forwarded to me by accident. Or slip. My heart hammered, betrayal's first raw edge. Rising stakes peaked weeks later. My birthday, September 12th. The day Hank proposed under the aurora of 78 fireworks. No call. No text. I waited all day, baking myself a single-layer cake, candles flickering lonely. Evening fell, the city lights winking mockery from Queen and Hill. Finally, a ping. Ethan, 9:47 p.m. Happy birthday, Mom. Crazy day. Dinner ran late. Love you. Love you. Too little, too late. Anger surged. Hot tears mixing with frosting as I smashed a forkful. Called voicemail again. Left one voice cracking. Son, it's your mother. Call would have sufficed. I love you, but this hurts. No reply. Days blurred into a week, suspense building like a storm front. I confided in Betty at knitting circle. Feels like I'm fading on them. She squeezed my hand. Call him out, Evie. Blood's thicker. But when I did, voicemail tirade about respect, sacrifices, a wall slammed. Block. My calls bounced, texts undelivered. Panic clawed, raced to the library computer, Facebook message. Ethan? What's happening? Read no response. Subplot twisted. A loyal ally emerged. S. old college buddy Mark, who'd friend me years back. His DM. Heard from mutuals. Lila's pushing the boundaries talk. Hang in, Evie. Heart-wrenching scenes cascaded. Sleepless nights pacing the creeks. Hank's photo watching judgmental. A desperate drive to Tacoma. Old address, but the house dark, for sale sign mocking. Neighbors shrugged. They split last month, California full-time. Split. Like I was disposable. Emotional stakes soared. Visions of grandkids forgetting my face. Ethan erasing his roots for a corner office. But resilience flickered. I wrote letters, sealed with wax from the junk drawer, mailing to the new address scraped from public records. I'm here, always. The breaking point crested in October fog. A call from Lila's mom, icy courtesy. Evie, give them space. Ethan's stressed. From what? Loving his own. I hung up, shattered plate at my feet, shards glinting like tears. The family I'd anchored. Drifting, selfish currents pulling them under. And me. Left flailing in the wake. If this breaks mirroring your fractures, like and share your nod, it mends something. Subscribe, bell on. The descent gets darker, but truths emerge. Solitude isn't empty at first. It's a hush, a breath after the scream. But oh, when it deepens. It swallows you whole, twists into suspense you can't outrun. After the block, my world shrank to 4 walls and the tick of the mantle clock, each second a reminder. Forgotten. Seattle's rains turned relentless, drumming the roof like accusatory fingers, while I unraveled. Not just blankets but me. Isolation peaked slow, cinematic shadows lengthening. Mornings I'd brew tea in the chipped pot Hank chipped on purpose, staring out at the veiled Olympics. Mountains that once promised adventure, now barriers. The phone, once lifeline, mocked silent. I'd check it hourly, compulsively, heart leaping at spam. Win a cruise. No Ethan. No Lila. Grandkids' faces haunted. Ghosts in the yarn bin. I stopped knitting midway through a sweater for Theo. Needles idle, wool balls gathering dust like regrets. Twists lurked in the gloom. One drizzly Tuesday, mail brought a manila envelope. No return address. Inside, a single photo creased, Mia and Theo at the picnic, me laughing mid-race, baton high. Scribbled back. Nana's fun. Miss you. Mia. My throat closed, 8-year-old rebellion. Or Lila's plant. Suspense coiled. I penned a reply, tucked a tiny knit duck inside, mailed to the Palo Alto P.O. box from Mark's tip. Days passed, no echo. Then another twist. Overheard at the diner, Maria leaning over pie. Heard your boys firm in the news. Big scandal, layoffs. Layoffs. My Ethan. I raced home, TV blaring CNBC. Tech darling faces, fraud probe. Heart stopped, motivations layered. Was the block stress or shame? Despair descended, intense and raw. Lows crushed, nights curled fetal, sobs racking till ribs ached, whispering why? To Hank's empty side. Anger flared highs, smashing a vase, shards of blue glass like sapphire tears. Subplots thickened. Betty confessed her own, daughter blocked after interfering in a divorce. We're the ghosts they haunt, she said, over sherry in her kitchen. Strength glimmered. I volunteered more. Soup kitchen runs, faces gaunt as mine, stories swapping like soup bowls. Kids think we're burdens, Yvette grumbled. I nodded. But we're the roots they forget. Suspense built relentlessly. Hidden letters surfacing. In the attic, sorting Hank's boxes, I found Ethan's childhood journal, pilfered years back. Mom's the best. Gonna make her proud. Tears blurred ink, regret's sharp edge. Another plot, Mark's call, voice low. Ethan's spiraling, Lila's filing papers. Thinks you're the scapegoat. Divorce. Twists piled. Overheard diner gossip of Lila's affair. Tech bro rival. Isolation peaked, Christmas near. Tree untrimmed, blanket shroud. But inner fire sparked. I lit one candle, vowed, not broken. Glimmers pierced dark. A stray cat on the porch, named Hank Jr., purring redemption. Resilience rose. Journaled truths walked the trail at dawn, fog lifting like hope. The climax crashed like a fairy wake. Unyielding, pulling under then spitting out changed. New Year's dawned gray, but resolve burned. No more waiting. I booked the cheapest flight to San Francisco airport. Cash from bingo stash. Heart a war drum. Palo Alto gleamed sterile. Palm trees mocking ferns, houses like glass cages. Mark's text guided. Subdivision off Page Mill. Blue door. I knocked, knuckles white, breath fogging the chill. Door cracked. Ethan, unshaven, eyes hollow. Mom. Shock, then pull in, house a tomb of boxes. Lila gone, bags packed post-scandal. She left, he choked, collapsing couch ward. Confrontation erupted, raw, tear-streaked. You blocked me, son. Forgot me. For what? Words tumbled, his fears, Lila's pressures. She said you smothered, held me back. Betrayal's layers peeled, her motivations. Climbing social ladder, me the hick mom snag. Twist. Mia's photo. Her doing, smuggled to guilt him. Grandkids burst in. Nanny's day off, faces lighting mine. Nana. Hugs fierce, Theo's whisper. Daddy cries at night. Stakes peaked, Ethan confessed regrets. Missed your calls the birthday. Thought success would fix us. Tearful reflections flowed, me recounting sacrifices, quitting dreams for his Hank's deathbed wish. Keep him close, Evie. Highs soared, family pieced, lows crashed in sobs. Bittersweet closure. He unblocked, promised visits. I'm sorry, Mom. You're the warmth. We mended slow. Blankets unpacked, stories spun. Empowerment subtle. I set boundaries, knit for self. Ending poignant. Drive home, sound sparkling, regret lingering but redemption budding. Phew, wrapping this tale leaves me raw, like picking at a healed scar. Tender but true. Family bonds. They're not ironclad. Their wool warm, but prone to moths if neglected. Ethan's betrayal, Lila's chill. They weren't born cruel, but ambition and resentment wove them tight. As kids, we pour out. Sleepless nights, scraped savings, hearts on sleeves. But adulthood flips it. They see duty, not debt. Boundaries, not bridges. Loneliness in old age. It's epidemic, darlin'. Sons chasing unicorns, daughters-in-law guarding gates, grandkids ghosts in screens. I learned forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's releasing the weight so you float again. Resilience. That's the real heirloom. Stitch by stitch, rebuild your warmth. If neglect's shadow falls on you, reach out. Not to them first, but you. A walk, a circle, a journal. Bonds mend when both sides knit back. And redemption. It whispers in smalls. A call returned, a hug unprompted. Hold space for it without begging. We're worth more than forgotten birthdays. Love resiliently, loves. Till next unraveling. Thanks for riding this heartbreak with me, friends. Your listens keep these truths alive. If Evie's story stirred your soul, share your family tale in the comments below. We're all threads in this messy quilt. Hit like, subscribe for more raw confessions. Bell on. 'Cause pain doesn't pause. Shares spread the healing.